let's go ahead and take a little tour into the features of InfraWorks 360. I'm going to jump on over here. Now here is our start screen. So this, we can go through and open up previous models that we have open. We also have the ability to share models with other people within groups. So we can invite people to groups to share our models, and they can build upon those models, or we can have them as read-only so that they cannot edit those models. Now within the start screen you can see we have something called the Model Builder, and I'm going to go ahead and open that now. And what the Model Builder does is it will go through, I can type in a location anywhere on the planet, and I'll type Yonkers, New York, and I can see here that it's going to zoom me into that area, and I can actually see where my little reservoir lake is right here centered in the screen. And I can select this area, and it can be a maximum of 200 square kilometers. It will go through and find all the roadway data, the building data, imagery, and elevation data, and it will automatically collaborate all of that information for me, and it gives me a really good place to start my model, and I can go from there. It doesn't make it absolutely perfect. There's definitely things that you need to add and manipulate a little bit, but it gets you a really good place to start to build your model. And just for the sake of time, I've already done it for this project, so I'll go ahead and close that. And I'm going to go ahead and jump right into the Hillview Reservoir model that I have created here. So within this model, we can create different proposals. So right here, I'm in a master proposal, and if I pull this down, you can see I have many different other proposals that I can add. So I can just continue to create different design options and organize them through these proposals so that I don't have to create separate models for each design option that I have. I'm going to go ahead and zoom into an area that we're actually underground here. So if I show you what above ground looks like, what we're looking at is a model of this little downtake chamber that's underneath the ground. So what we did for this project is we had a 3D model of that downtake chamber that we imported into InfraWorks 360. And then we can just switch between design options for that downtake chamber. So you can see this is a different option. And that was just through proposals. So I don't have to go through and create a completely separate model. Now, if we look at the one that I had as an example in the video, you can see there's an option for taking the pipe along the roadway here. And then I'm not going to go all the way over, but you can see the difference between option 1 and option 2. And it's just very simple to do. Just by switching between proposals, I can display my different project options. Okay, so now let's say we want to go and add a bunch of features on our own. I'm going to zoom over to a bookmark where it's kind of outside of the site area, and I'm going to start with my master proposal here. So the master is just kind of, it's your base point, it's your starting point to where you want to add on to your design. So let's say over here in this area we're going to improve and maybe remove some of these buildings that are here and add in different features. And it's very, very quick and easy to do with InfraWorks 360. We can very easily visualize our project. So I'm going to go ahead and just create a completely new proposal. And I'm going to call it New Site. And there we go. There's our starting point. Okay, so within InfraWorks 360, we have our main InfraWorks functionality. Okay, so if we don't have the 360 functionality, we do have some basic options here for just regular InfraWorks. And then these other 3 buttons here are the different modules. So I have the roadways module, which I mentioned before in the slideshow. I also have a bridge module. And then I have a drainage module. Okay, so those kind of take my design to the next level. But for just to start out here, let's just draw in a few things. So I'm just going to go in and trace a road. Now you can see that InfraWorks comes loaded with a lot of styles. So I have all of these options to choose from. And I'm just going to go ahead and pick a random one. And I can just trace in, just with a few clicks, where I want this roadway to go. Okay? And you can see it solves my intersections for me. It cleans things up very nicely. And there I have a roadway, just that easy. So now, let's say over in this area, I actually want to, let's say I have a SketchUp model and I want to import that SketchUp model of a parking garage directly into my project here. So I'm going to go over to my data sources. And you can see these are all of the different types of outside things that I can add to this model. So if you have a Revit model, if you have a Civil 3D drawing, an IMX, a DGN, Land XML, these are all of our different options here. And you can see at the very bottom we have one for SketchUp. So I'm going to go ahead and load my parking garage SketchUp model. It's actually a cloud service, so I'm going to go ahead and send this out to the cloud. And now I have that feature within my model. I just need to tell it where I want to put that feature. So I'm going to go ahead and configure my parking garage here. I think it's still processing. Let's give it just a second. Okay, it might take a second here. There we go. Now I can configure this. Taking a little longer than usual. There we go. Okay, so this particular SketchUp model does not have a geolocation. I'm just going to go ahead and go in and place it interactively. So I'm going to use the 2D center of the model, and I'm going to go ahead and choose interactive placement. You can see it's now attached to my cursor, and wherever I double click, it's going to go ahead and set that down. And I'm going to refresh that. And you can see there is my parking garage that was drawn in SketchUp, but I can come in and place it anywhere I want to within InfraWorks. And I can take it and, let's say, move it down a little bit so that my slab is underground. And then I can just rotate very easily if I want to kind of straighten it out a little bit. Something like that. And then, so I can go from here with my design. So let's say I want to go ahead and add just a regular little building next to my model here. So back in my Create Design panel, you can see there's all of these different things that I can draw. Now you see we have one for buildings. And InfraWorks comes loaded with many different facades to choose from. So I can just pick one to start with. And I'll just trace in a little building here, and it can actually be any shape that you want it to be. I'll just do a little rectangle for now. And then there is our building. I can take this building and make it taller, and it will actually regenerate the graphics on the outside to kind of adjust to the size of the building. And then, very quickly and easily, I have something called a style palette. And this works with anything. It can be coverage areas, it can be different roadway materials, it can be pipe materials, but I can go through and just simply drag and drop any material onto a building. So let's say I'll choose maybe this one here. I can just drag and drop directly onto that building, and you can see it refreshes the image. Let's say I want to put a roofing material on here. So I'm going to go ahead and go to Material and choose maybe one of these shingle ones if I just drag and drop. And it's a little bit small. And you can adjust the rotation. You can adjust the sizing of any of these materials that come within here. Okay, so you can see it's very easy to manipulate and and kind of make things your own design here. Let's say we're going to go in and maybe put a parking lot in here, so that would be a coverage area. And I'm going to go ahead and use the parking lot one. You can see I can just click a shape, any shape I want, and there's my parking lot. Okay, so you can always adjust later on. So without getting too extremely detailed, you can see you can go through and make your model look very realistic like it would in the real world. And I can go in and add city furniture, so you can add cars, trucks, you can add people, you can add, if your project is under construction, you can add, there's actually construction options that you have in here. There's little barricades, and then there's also dump trucks and those kinds of things too. So you can actually go in and really make this thing look realistic if you need to do a rendering or whatever it might be that you need to use it for presentation options.